Ephesians, we read that each of us has been given his gift, his portion of Christ's bounty. Well, let us share our bounty this Christmas season. Let us offer not only our hearts and prayers, but a generous hand to those who need our help. And as we light this tree, let us brighten the lives of those here at home and around the world whose Christmas may not be as glowing and as cheerful as ours. So to all of you, God bless you and keep you during this cherished holiday season. And now, let's turn on the National Christmas Tree.
I think that's it.
Hi, I'm Melissa, and welcome to this month's Live from at the Reagan Library. Thank you for joining us. We do this on the first Wednesday of every month. I want to thank you for your patience. We were supposed to go live about 5 minutes ago. We were having some technical difficulties, and right now I think we might only be going live. If we are going live on YouTube or Facebook, I'm only able to engage with you live on YouTube on a phone. So do use the chat box on YouTube. But I'm standing here in our new exhibition. It opened about 2 weeks ago, and it's an exhibition that celebrates not only the sort of rich and fun celebrations and holidays, but it also celebrates the rich heritage of American history. So welcome to an American Christmas exhibition. This exhibition showcases 26 trees, one tree for every decade of our country's history. And through the use of lights and ornaments and decorations, each tree, as you can see, is truly a unique piece of art. It's really worth seeing. And in this live from, we're going to be talking about the trees and showing you some of those trees and some of those decorations. So do please stick along with us as we do this. So one of the things we want to do, though, before we start exploring all of these trees is, again, just a reminder, please chat using YouTube. Use the YouTube chat. I'm going to be engaging with you guys live there. I did see Greg Watkins was watching. I know he always watches. Thank you so much. And to what he said, we love the photo of Mrs. Reagan sitting on Ronald Reagan's lap as Santa. In fact, we have this amazing collection in our archives of all the different people that played Santa throughout the years. We were just talking about it, including Mr. T and Willard Scott and a whole bunch of others. Really fun. So this exhibition, like I said, has 26 trees focusing on the history of America. But there are also other items for this exhibition that are sprinkled throughout the entire Reagan Museum. So I really quickly want to highlight those since you won't see them on this little tour we're doing right now. So the first item that's part of this exhibition that's not in this room is the Reagan White House tree. So we have an actual tree, well, it's a fake tree, but we have a tree in our museum decorated with the actual ornaments and decorations that the Reagans used both at the White House and their Bel Air home. Not just the ornaments on the tree, but in front of the tree are a bunch of caroler dolls that they used again at the White House and their Bel Air home. Another item we have on display as part of this exhibition is our Gold Star Memorial Tree. If you aren't aware what a Gold Star family member is, that's someone who has actually lost a loved one, sacrificed a loved one, who was serving in the U.S. military, and they passed away while serving in the military. This tree goes up every single year, and we encourage Gold Star family members to bring a photo up of their loved one, and we will help them put the ornament with their loved one's photo and their loved one's name on our tree. You can either bring up your own handmade ornament, or if you just bring up the photo, we'll make one for you. And every year we put this tree out, which is every year, we will continue to put the same ornaments on so that your loved one will be part of our Christmas exhibition forever. Now, what's really important to note is that although you have to pay admission to see this exhibition, the Gold Star Family Memorial Tree is in our lobby. That means anyone can see it at any time at absolutely no admission charge. Just come on up and see that tree, and it's the one that's in the lobby. The third thing I want to mention before we actually get into the trees that we're here with is, of course, as part of this display, we do have a handful of menorahs that President Reagan received while in office on display as well. So why don't we actually start talking about the trees that are here, that are in this space. And after we do a couple of the trees, I will be going to YouTube. So please don't be shy. Simply your name and where you're watching from so I can say hello or ask a question or give a comment. And I will be going to those multiple times. But first, let's actually talk about the trees that are in this space. So, like I said, there are 26 trees. Each tree representing a decade of our America's history. Now, what's really important to note is that, again, 26 trees, I'm only going to be showing maybe 10 of them. And in the 10 trees I'm showing, I'm only going to be showing like 3 or 4 of the ornaments and decorations. And each tree has dozens upon dozens of items in those trees. It's almost like a scavenger hunt. So this is an exhibition we really encourage you coming to see for yourself. But not only that, we recommend that this is an exhibition that you see more than once, because every time you look at these trees, you see something different. It's this amazing combination of history and nostalgia all wrapped up into these 26 trees. It's quite extraordinary. I actually really enjoy kind of being in this area while our guests are looking at the trees, because they have such a good time pointing things out and remembering. So we are actually going to start here in the beginning, because every story has a beginning. And of course, America's begins in the 1770s. So the first tree here in our exhibition is the tree representing 1770 to 1779. Of course, that's the decade when America sort of became from a colony to a country. The things that happened in that decade, of course, include Paul Revere's Midnight Ride, the Boston Tea Party, and of course, the Declaration of Independence. Now, I'm not going to be going tree by tree by tree. We would be here forever. But that said, I am just going to stop right now, just one tree down, and talk about the tree from 1780 to 1789, because again, such a rich time in our country's history. George Washington becomes our country's first president, so important. The Constitution was adopted, and the bald eagle actually becomes the symbol of our nation. So we're actually going to move down a couple of trees right now. So when we move, you're just going to get a really quick glimpse of some of the other decades as we move. And I'm going to stop at the tree representing 1800 to 1809. A lot of things happened in this decade. A gentleman by the name of James Hoban actually began drafting the plans for the White House. Thomas Jefferson was our president. He signed the Louisiana Purchase, which then allowed Lewis and Clark to go on an expedition. But one of my favorite items in this tree is this hot air balloon. Now, why is there a hot air balloon in this tree? And especially because if you do know your history, the hot air balloons were actually invented in the decade prior, but it was in this decade that they became used more commonly, and they really became a sign for America for exploration, for adventure, and for scientific progress. So the next tree we're going to show you is all the way down to 1860. So we have a long walk, so I'm going to kind of ramble, and as we walk slowly, you'll get a really quick glimpse of these other decade trees that you're seeing along the 1800s. Again, really beautiful trees, all decorated so differently with such amazing rich history or popular culture, sports and leisure mixed within the trees. We are almost there. We're walking by the 1850 tree. And here we are at 1860. Of course, Abraham Lincoln was our president. We talk about that. The Emancipation Proclamation, the Gettysburg Address, and of course, the Civil War. So we're going to move down one more tree to 1870 to 1879, but I am going to tell you that as soon as I talk about this tree, we're going to go back to those screens or back to the phone. So if you haven't already put in a comment, please do so now. So we are standing at the tree from 1870 to 1879. This was the industrial age. Alexander Graham Bell filed for a patent for the telephone. Thomas Edison actually invented the light bulb, but it was also a decade of leisure. Yellowstone National Park was established as a national park, and the sports of football and tennis became more common sports in America during that decade. So why don't we take a quick moment. Again, if you're on YouTube, you can go to that chat box. We're sorry that it's not working on Facebook right now. I'm going to scroll to the phone really quick and see what we got, who's watching. We've got Dantoma 13 watching, thank you so much. Greg Watkins, what was President Reagan's favorite Christmas movie? I wish I knew that. I do not know that. So sorry. When will President Trump visit the Reagan Library? You know, we have an open invitation out. I don't know, I don't have a date, but he is absolutely invited. Will any of the DOD secretaries visit the Reagan Museum? randomly, I don't know if you realize this when you ask this question, this weekend, the Friday and Saturday of this weekend, is our annual Reagan National Defense Forum. We hold it every year, and there are many, I guess in the past it was Department of Defense, now it's Department of War, many secretaries coming from that, many members of Congress, many senators, defense industry CEOs. You can find out more about our Defense Forum and who is speaking here for the Defense Forum on our website, reaganfoundation.org. And if you go to the Reagan Institute button, you can learn all about our Reagan National Defense Forum. Tom Rocca, Dana is watching from Petaluma, California. Hi, Dana. It's my sister, everybody. And love President Lincoln tree. The Lincoln tree is great. Some of these trees are absolutely incredible, but they're all incredible, but some of them are just absolutely phenomenal. And again, people who come here just kind of in awe and just really love to learn about the trees and all the history of it and really learn more about it. So we're gonna make a really weird walk now. So stay with us as we round the corner. I might even switch cameras, I'm not sure. But these trees are in one area, and now we switch to a different area to see the next set of trees. And I am going to go to the tree for 1890. This is actually, speaking of a favorite tree, there's some really fun items in this tree. The bicycle boom began in this decade. In fact, it gave women sort of the freedom to move around more freely, which is fantastic. The Ferris wheel was introduced to America in 1893 at America's World Fair. And trivia fact that you will now know from watching this live from, in the 1890s, Mildred Hill wrote and released the Happy Birthday song that we all still sing today, and you're welcome because you're now singing it in your head. Let's move down one tree to 1900. We are now in the 1900s. we've moved decades. Some amazing things happened in this decade. Of course, the Wright brothers tested the Wright Flyer. Henry Ford invented the Model T, and the Victrola changed the way we listened to music. Now, in this exhibition, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, every weekend, and then the whole entire week leading up to Christmas, we have a really special guest. Santa comes on all of those dates, and he is here to greet you, to say hello to you, and to take your family photo. So yes, you could go to the mall, but why don't you come here to the Reagan Library and take your family Christmas photo right here in our tree exhibition with Santa. To learn more about when Santa will actually be here, to see the hours, to learn more about this exhibition, to pre-purchase tickets, simply go to reaganlibrary.com/Christmas trees. That's trees plural, reaganlibrary.com/Christmas trees. One of the things I want to share with you, which is pretty cool, is that one admission ticket that you purchase. It gets you into the Reagan Museum, it gets you into the Air Force One Pavilion, it gets you into our Christmas tree exhibition, and it also gets you into our Cowboys History in Hollywood exhibition. We did not change the price, so that one ticket gets you everything as long as the trees are here, and they're here through January 4th. Now, this past weekend, because Santa couldn't be with us here today, he's so busy making toys, we asked Santa when he was here this weekend to send a really quick clip to say hello to all of you. So why don't we go to that really quickly?
Merry Christmas. Merry, Merry Christmas.
So isn't that fun? Gotta love Santa. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the screen. So if you are on YouTube, go to that chat box. Let's see if anyone else has said hello. Let's see. Does President Reagan have a tree for the 80s? You'll have to wait to see when we get to the 80s. We're only at 1900. You keep watching, Greg Watkins. At Alexis Giller, Alexis, Alice, and Nick from San Francisco. What is my favorite tree? It's a great question. The problem is if I answer it, it spoils Greg's question because I think my favorite tree is the 80s tree. Not to age myself here, but that's when I grew up, and it's so nostalgic for me. When you'll see it soon, but I love all the popular culture because that's sort of my childhood, and it makes me laugh every time I see it. So we will get to that, but great question. Thank you so much. Do please keep asking questions. I'm going to go back to this phone really momentarily, so keep asking them. But now we have to make a movement. So to make that movement, we're going to show you a quick clip. It's of President Reagan talking about Christmas. And when I was looking at a handful of the speeches and things that he said during Christmas, this one really hit me because it's such an important message. So let's go to President Reagan.
Many of us do good at this time. No, most of us all mean to, but sometimes good intentions get lost in the hurry and bustle of the holiday season. Well, this is only the 13th day of December. We still have a dozen days to answer that letter of a child who wrote to Santa Claus at the post office, or to buy an extra gift for a Toys for Tot program, or whatever. So, if you've forgotten to do it, well, do it. Do it tonight or tomorrow. One of the great messages of this season is that it's never too late to touch a life and maybe change the world forever for someone.
So I've moved to the other side of the room, and I am now standing next to our tree for the decade of 1930 to 1939. Now, in the tree prior, in the 20s, of course, we're talking about the stock market crash, we're talking about the Depression, but in the 30s, sort of America is starting to put itself back together. Mount Rushmore became established as a national park, and then some fun things that happened in the 30s. Shirley Temple became famous. The board game Monopoly became famous, the game we still play today. And interestingly enough, you may know this, I didn't know this, Social Security cards were issued for the first time in the 1930s. So let's move just 2 trees down. This is also a favorite, back to Alexis, Alex, and Nick's question. People love this tree. We are standing at the tree representing 1950 to 1959. Talk about a tree full of popular culture. Dr. Seuss's Cat in the Hat was released for the first time. Barbie launched. What else happened in this decade? I Love Lucy aired for the first time. Elvis became famous. And then what's kind of interesting and a great tie here to the Reagan Library, Disneyland launched. And Alexis, if you're still watching, I know that's the happiest place on earth. I know it's your favorite place. Disneyland launched in the 50s. And what a fun fact about that is a young Ronald Reagan, and who was an actor at the time, was actually the MC, a co-MC to be a matter of fact here, was the co-MC of the opening day of Disneyland for a television broadcast. So speaking of President Reagan, we're going to swing over just one decade down to the 1960 to 1969 tree. Now, of course, this is a decade of tragedy. JFK was assassinated, Senator Robert Kennedy was assassinated, Martin Luther King was assassinated, but it is also the decade where Ronald Reagan served as California's governor. So we're going to continue to weave this Ronald Reagan theme, and we're going to go down 2 trees to the 1980s tree, which is the tree I mentioned a little bit ago. In the 1980s tree, of course, Ronald Reagan was president, but some amazing pop culture stuff happened again, which is why I love it, because this is my childhood. You've got Pac-Man, you've got MTV launching, E.T. came out, Cheers launched, Saturday Night Fever the movie came out, and of course, who can forget Bob Ross? All in the 1980s. Check out that laptop computer. I mean, this is and I should say that, share that with you. The items in these trees are real wherever they can be real. So the newspaper clippings are real. This is a real computer. They went antique shopping for these things. And so there's some really fun things. They're like original cell phones, cassette tapes, floppy disks, some really fun items in these trees. So I'm going to do one more before I go back to YouTube. We're going to go down 2 trees to the decade of 2000 to 2009. And what I want to point out about this tree is that we do an annual Christmas tree exhibition here at the Reagan Library, and the themes sort of come in and come out. But the last about 7 or 8 years, we've been doing our exhibition on the 26 trees, 1 tree for every country President Reagan visited while in office. We haven't done our decades tree since about 2017. So the last time we did this exhibition, this is the last tree we had, because this was the last full decade that had happened when we did this exhibition. So what happened in this decade? Of course, social media came on the scene. Tragically, 9/11 happened. And then just for a little fun fact, because again, we are here at the Reagan Library, it was in this decade that the Air Force One Pavilion, which happens to be where we're standing right now, opened to the public. And in this photo, if you can see it, it's the photo of Mrs. Reagan standing next to then President Bush and First Lady Barbara Bush cutting the ribbon to open up this building. So let's see if anyone else has commented on here. Wonder if Disneyland's in the 50s tree. Look at you. Greg, you're ahead of us on all of these things. You really, I don't know if we know where you live, but you really need to come see this for yourself because you've already figured out what's in all of these trees. So just a really fun exhibition. So we do want to show one more tree to you, and it's the decade that we're currently in. So we're going to skip down to. Now, when we did this exhibition last time, as I said, we didn't have a tree for the current decade because, of course, in the current decade, you know, the possibilities are still endless. You know, we don't want to put what's going on. There's still things happening, but there's too much that's happened in these first 5 years. So we had to fill the tree because, of course, COVID and face masks, social distancing, everyone was making sourdough bread at home. Amazon, of course, had already been out for many years, but because of COVID, Amazon really became like the #1 way to get things. Cyber trucks were launched. Just a really sort of fun tree. And again, Alexis, if you're watching, you can't live in Los Angeles and be here in California where the Reagan Library is and not have something in the tree to say that the LA Dodgers, I'm wearing Dodger blue, the LA Dodgers have won 3 World Series this decade alone. But also this tree is also, again, to represent. There's still 4 more years left in this decade. What's going to happen? When you come see this exhibition next year, what else might we have added to this tree? Possibilities are endless, and it's something that we can look forward to, which is really fun. So I do want to, I think I earlier skipped something that I was going to play, so sorry for the team back there probably with their finger on the button. The 2 women who put this exhibition together, their names are Melissa and Tiffany, and we did a short interview with them, and we asked them what was some of the challenges of putting an exhibition like this together. So we want to play that clip for you now.
The whole thing was a challenge.
The whole thing. Challenge. Very new. And lots of detail.
It was a lot of fun. I loved it. I loved every part of it.
It was a good time.
Every part of it.
But it got a little dicey there in the beginning.
We're not history people, so like we talk about
something?
A lot of things.
A lot.
Can you think of something you learned?
Oh my goodness. Shoot, so many things. All the amendments, I really didn't know where the decades were, so that was good to go through all of those. All of the different presidents we had each decade. We had some up to 4 or 5. They're all in the trees. It was amazing to see that we had those ornaments or items to put in these trees too, and a lot of real authentic newspapers are here as well.
So last chance to add a comment or on a chat in YouTube, but I have been looking through them during that break, and I do want to say, you know, I saw comments about, you know, Trump and Reagan. Every single tree of all the 26 trees, whenever there was a new president elected in that decade, all of those presidents, you'll find them in all the trees, every single president. You'll find when all the different amendments were passed from our Constitution in all of those trees. Like I said, it really is a history lesson in and of itself, mixed in with nostalgia. Such an amazing exhibition to have fun with. Again, you can simply walk in at any time and buy your tickets here at the front desk. Go to ReaganLibrary.com and buy tickets, or go to ReaganLibrary.com/Christmas trees, specifically for more information about this exhibition, specifically to find out exactly when Santa's going to be here. And like I said, 1 ticket through January 4th gets you the museum, the Air Force One Pavilion, the Christmas trees, cowboys. It can't be beat. I'm going to do a quick look to see if any other questions on here. It doesn't look like it. So from all of us here at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute, thank you for joining us. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy Hanukkah.
In spite of everything, we Americans are still uniquely blessed, not only by the rich bounty of our land, but by a bounty of the Spirit, a kind of year-round Christmas spirit that still makes our country a beacon of hope in a troubled world, and that makes this Christmas and every Christmas even more special for all of us who number among our gifts the birthright of being an American. Until next week, thanks for listening. Merry Christmas, and God bless you.